October 18th is Persons Day in Canada, marking a historic court ruling 95 years ago that finally deemed most women in this country to be people in the eyes of the law. The ruling allowed women to be appointed to the Senate and marked a critical passage in the advancement of gender equality in Canada. But the ruling didn't include all women, leaving Indigenous and racialized women to continue fighting for decades to earn the right to vote. It reportedly all started over a cup of tea in 1927. A group of women known as the Famous Five met in Edmonton, Alberta. Emily Murphy, Henrietta Edwards, Nellie McClung, Irene Parlby, and Louise McKinney. The women all signed a petition asking the courts if the British North America Act includes women in its definition of persons. After 5 weeks of debate, the court said no, it doesn't. The Famous Five took the ruling to the highest court of appeals in Canada at the end, which ruled on October 18, 1929, that women are considered persons in the eyes of the law. Announcing the decision, the Lord Chancellor of Great Britain said the exclusion of women from all public offices is a relic of days more barbarous than ours. And to those who would ask why the word person should include females, the obvious answer is, why should it not?
The case also stands for the idea that, like trees, the way they grow, laws must develop in conjunction with societal changes. This is known as the living tree doctrine.
The ruling allowed women to be appointed to the Senate and participate more fully in public and political life. It also marked a critical passage in the advancement of gender equality in Canada, something Canadians are still dealing with 95 years later.
That seems like a long time, but it's not, right? Like, the advancement of women's rights has happened quite quickly, although, there's still a lot more work to do, but we still see it in the House of Commons. We only have about just over 30% of members of Parliament that are female.
But the ruling didn't include all women, leaving women who are Indigenous, racialized, or disabled to continue fighting for decades to earn the same legal protections as white upper-class women.
It would take many more decades before Indigenous and racialized women, as well as women with disabilities, would achieve legal protection. For those living in economic precarity or poverty, the inequities persist. Social and economic supports, as well as basics like food, safe housing, and health care, remain out of reach for far too many.
Today, the Prime Minister releasing a statement recognizing the milestone and highlighting government policies like $10 a day childcare, writing, "This is all part of our work to make sure that no woman in Canada faces barriers to what she can achieve."